Good morning. We're going to walk you through the pre-trip inspection. You have your cards here with your checklist. You can walk through and check those off as we go through them. The first procedure we're going to do is we're going to start the vehicle. Wait till our dash illuminates. Gauges flop over. Fire the vehicle up, and then we're going to turn the wheel to the right side. And I'll explain why we do that once we get outside. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn on all our lights, headlights on, and we're also going to turn our hazard lights on. After we do that, we're going to shut the vehicle off. Stepping outside, what we're going to do is I'm going to have you carry a couple of tools with you. And what we're going to do is just a rag, some nice gloves to protect your hands, a tire depth gauge, and a tire air gauge. Okay, and you throw those in your pocket, whatever you need. First step we're going to do is we're going to shut our door. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a hands-on approach. So we're going to put our hands on everything, make sure it's tight and secure, starting with our mirror. Okay? We want to make sure the arm is nice and tight and secure. Everything is tight up here. Glass is all tight. And now we're taking a visual looking at our lights. Our marker lights are good. Headlights are illuminated. And remember, we turned on our four-ways, so our hazards are blinking. Looking up at our top marker lights, all are illuminated. We're going to go again hands-on with our wipers. Wiper blades are secure. Arm is secure, nice and tight, no loose nuts. Wiper secure, arm secure, headlight illuminated, marker light flashing. Come around to the side, marker light is illuminated. Again, hands-on our mirrors, checking our top. Our glass is clean and secure. We're going to make our way down the side, and as we do, we're going to check and touch every door. Fuel door, we can check our cap and everything is nice and tight and secure. And we want to put a hand on our side doors, make sure they're secure and latched. Now we're at the driver's side steer tire. What we're going to do is we're going to check all 10 lug nuts. We're going to put a hand on each, make sure they're secure and tight. Go right around that. Okay, we're going to visually inspect the sidewall of the tire, looking for any cracking or dry rot. Okay, and here's where I like to take off my glove, and I like to give my tire a feel across pattern, back towards me, and also backwards and forwards. What that does, that can tell you different things of how your alignment might be off, if you feel some sort of river wear go back and forth, or any irregular tire wear, like address wheel bearings or different components like that. Glove back on. Now I'm going to start reaching in and looking at some components here. On the driver's side, we're going to have the steering arms and those components. I'm going to reach in and just tug on those on this side, just to make sure everything is tight and secure. And while I'm doing that, I'm also looking at a visual. Do I see any wires hanging, any chafed wires, any components, zip ties that might have broke or anything like that. Along the back side, I'm visually looking at my jacks. I can see, is there any oil leaking? Are the jacks up? And I'm going to grab onto the shock absorber as well and shake that. Make sure that's tight and secure. Bushings are all tight, everything like that. On each side of the front, you'll also have a pull chain. And what that pull chain is to release any moisture from your air system. There's one on each side on the 38 Red that I can just give it a quick tug, and that's going to bleed any moisture from the air system. We'll point that out real quick. At the tire, here's where we can check our air pressure, right on the valve stem, checking it there. And also if you have a tire depth gauge, what that does is you stick it in the middle of your tread, and that will give you a reading out that way. And you do it at a couple different spots of the tire and kind of take the average of that. Next, we're going to walk down the side, and we're going to be looking high and low while putting a hand on all the side compartment doors, making sure they're tight and secure. Anything that's on my coach, I'm checking, making sure it's secure. Looking up, all the awnings look good. Side compartment is shut and closed, secure. Okay, I can look at my slides, make sure they're in, ready to go. Tight and secure. Now I'm looking at my marker and turn signals on the side. Both are illuminated and doing what they're supposed to. We get to the rear wheels. Now we have the dual wheels here. We're going to put our hands on all 10 lug nuts, walking those around, making sure they're tight and secure. Okay, here's where we can check our tire pressure. Inside dual, outside dual. And also, again, we can check barehanded. It's not as important as the steer axle, as your tire wear. You're not really going to see, you might have a little inside wear from a wheel bearing or something like that. But I'm just going to check them both. take my tire depth gauge and I'm going to stick them both and see where they're at. Again, a couple different spots, and we're going to take the average of those. It gives us our depth. Federal regulations are 2 30-seconds on a drive tire, 4 30-seconds on a steer tire. In the RV world, we never really get that low. Checking for any sidewall, any rotting, anything that a chunk missing, anything like that. Nice visual inspection. We're also looking through the frame, looking at any components in here. Are my jacks up? Any oil dripping? If I have snap pads, are those still secure? Mud flaps secure? Anything I can put eyes on. Rear suspension and whatnot. Making my way towards the rear, looking up. Awnings are good. Side compartments are closed and secure. And side marker light is illuminated. Getting to the rear of the coach, here's where we're going to check lights. Tail lights are illuminated. Turn signals are illuminated. Marker lights, I have 5 up there, all illuminated. Okay, everything looks secure. Is my license plate illuminated? I usually put my hand down there and kind of see that. I can also peek underneath here. My mud flap, is that hanging and secure? Anything that shouldn't be down here, you know, see any obstructions, anything like that, any loose wires. Get to the engine bay here, release that, and we're gonna come inside here. Visually, I'm gonna look at my air filter gauge, check that, that looks accurate. Are my caps all tight and secure? Okay, that's what I wanna make sure. Coolant level, these are pretty much see-through and they give you a hot and a cold level, making sure my level's good, and my cap is secure and tight. The radiator runs off of pressure, that has to be tight and secure. Power steering fluid, cap tight, and my readings here, minimum cold, maximum cold, all those there. Here's where I'll use my rag, and I'll check my engine oil here. Okay, I'm gonna pull that all the way out, clean that off. These are nice and long. Clean that off. I like to look at, because a lot of dipsticks are different. If I'm gonna see a full, it's gonna tell me to add, anything like that, before I insert it, so I know what I'm looking for. That goes back in, all the way in, secure it, relatch it so it sits normal, then bring it back out, and we're gonna get a reading there. Okay, nice and full, and we're good. For your transmission fluid, a lot of the manuals will tell you check it while the engine's running. I know on this coach I can check the fluid level from the dash, and that's usually what I'll do after the coach is running. Okay, visual secure, everything looks good, nothing unusual in there. That down, make sure you're secure and closed, give that a tug, and we're on to the side. Around the passenger side, we're going to check marker lights are illuminated. Again, we're looking top to bottom. Anything, awnings are good. Everything just put hands on, make sure secure. Hot water tank, exhaust system, that's nice and secure. Side boxes are nice and closed. Our slide is in tight. We get to the rear wheel. We're going to put hands on 10 lugs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm twisting as I do it to make sure the caps aren't loose. If the lug nut is coming loose, that cap is going to be loose. We'll check our air pressure. Sidewall looks good. We'll check our tread going forward and back, side to side. Everything looks good there. I'm looking at the jack. Jack looks good. It's up. Snap pads are on. Tire depth gauge. Here's where we check that also. Then we make our way to the side. Marker light illuminated. Turn signals illuminated. Hands on each door, looking up, awning looks good, all doors are secure. Secure, TV door secure, fuel cap is secure, and door is closed. Up on the passenger side steer tire, and if you remember from the beginning, we turned our wheels to the right, and the reason we did that is it opens up access to us to get inside of the frame, to see the frame, everything like that. With our fenders and everything sticking down low, it's really hard to get in there. So that's the reason we did the turning of the wheel. Hands on 10 lug nuts. Center caps are tight. Okay, looking in, I see my jack is up. Snap pads are good. Looking in, suspension. I'm gonna reach around and grab the shock absorber. Everything's nice and tight. I don't have the steering components up on this side, but I can visually look at anything, see if anything's funny hanging like that. Glove comes off, in and out, forward and back. Sidewall inspected, no cracks, no bulges, anything crazy like that. Tire gauge, I can stick it here. I use my TPMS system right off of my dash and check it. I verify this before a long trip, anything like that, that those are accurate and reading together. Depth gauge, again, stick those multiple places. Take your average there, that gives you your depth. When I'm done here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chalk my wheels for our next step, just so it doesn't roll. This next step, I wanna make sure my jacks are all up, slides are in, and my wheels are chalked. So we're gonna re-enter the vehicle. We're gonna turn our lights off, four ways off. We're gonna turn the key in the on position. We're gonna let our gauges sweep, everything come back up. We're gonna hover our foot over the brake pedal. We're not gonna touch anything, but it's there just in case. We chalk the wheels so the vehicle won't roll, because our next step is we're gonna release the parking brake. Okay, I'm gonna release it. Okay, and you can see we kind of rolled a little bit until those wheel chocks hit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna press and apply pressure to the brake pedal. Okay, you can hear it engage, and I'm gonna hold firmly on there for 30 seconds. What I'm doing is I'm listening. Do I hear any air coming out of any of the valves or anything near the wheels? No sound. I'm also looking at my gauges. Initially, you'll see a little bit of a loss of pressure, and then it will hold steady. What we're doing is making sure that system is tight. We lost initial air when we pressed the brake, but now we know there's no leaks, it's holding. So my 30 seconds, hold it, I hear nothing, I see nothing. My next step, we'll go into a brake fanning. What we're going to do is we're going to check and make sure all our safety systems are working. So I let my foot off the brake, you can hear it, and I start pumping it, okay? And it's called fanning. So I'm fanning, and what I'm doing is I'm waiting until my air pressure gets below that 60 PSIs, and you can hear my alert system kicked on. That's my warning, I have low air in my system. I keep fanning. What we're doing is making sure our emergency system works. Once I get to about 25 PSIs, my emergency brake, as it just did there, will pop on. Okay, so we know all those safety features are working. Next step, what we'll do, we'll fire the coach up. We want it to build pressure. Once it gets above that 60-ish PSIs, that safety alarm will go off. Then we want it to build to approximately 125 PSIs, and we'll hear the compressor kick off. So we know our air brake system is working as it should. I can be looking at our gauges. You have a primary and a secondary gauge. And right now we're getting close to that 60 PSI. And every vehicle will be a little bit different. It might go to 75 before your warning light comes off. Warning light is off. We've hit about 70 PSIs on each tank. And what we're going to do is we're going to listen and hear that compressor kick off once we hit the governor about 125 PSIs. So again, the reason you want to have your wheels chalked, jacks up, is because that vehicle could roll a little bit. Our brake is set now because the safety feature kicked it on. And we're just waiting for that compressor to kick off, and we know all systems go. And there it is, that's what we were waiting to hear. And that's how you do a simple air brake bleed down test.